After Max Verstappen's incredible win last weekend, Formula One travels to Spain as more hot weather is on the cards to potentially throw a spanner in Mercedes' works. Welcome back to the Formula One Grid Talk podcast. Today I'll be previewing this weekend's Spanish Grand Prix. We are powered by the F1 Chronicle. Visit f1chronicle.com for news, reviews and opinions on all things F1. Hosting today will be me, George Howson, and joining me today are sports journalist Louis Edwards.
Hello.
F1 expert Alex Booth.
Hello.
And engineering student Owain Medford.
Hello.
So, lads, we do have Spain on the cards. We have a back-to-back weekend and the third one in a row. And it's a track, obviously, the cars and teams are very familiar with. Owain, Spanish Grand Prix at Barcelona. But like you said earlier on, we do have hot weather on the way, so we could see an upset in the order again.
Yeah, obviously, the last round in Britain, we had a lot of hot weather, and that completely ruined the Mercedes, just neutered their performance and made it very, very difficult for them. Whereas, as much as it's a different kind of track, you haven't got the heavy loads that you get at Silverstone in Catalan yet. But it's got to be a worry. I mean, bearing in mind that the temperature's sort of looking to hit 20, 28, 29, maybe even 30. I mean, obviously that's a forecast that's a little bit far out, but it doesn't bode well based on what's been seen before.
Yeah, Mercedes seems to struggle in the hot weather and struggle on the tyres as well. But I think we are back to the regular tyres that we normally see at the Grand Prix. It's not especially soft like it was for the 70th anniversary race last weekend. But yeah, Louis, I mean, I don't know about you. When I think of this track, when I think about the Spanish Grand Prix, I don't think Hamilton doing particularly well there. But he's actually won there the last 3 years in a row. So in that sense, it could be another Hamilton win. But Max Verstappen has also won there in the past.
Yeah, it could be an interesting one, especially with the tyre temperatures and everything. Could play a real factor. You see that Red Bull are able to sort of manage the hotter conditions, with their tyres a lot better than Mercedes can. Which, it could make things a little interesting. But Hamilton's going to be so comfortable around this track. All drivers are comfortable with this track because they test there so much each winter. But I think Mercedes will probably come out on top again, just because, as we see, that car is just something else. And even, you had hot temperatures in the Austrian and the Styrian Grand Prix, but they were still able to sort of manage it and come out on top. So I wouldn't count out Red Bull, but Mercedes are definitely the ones to beat.
Yeah, definitely Mercedes are the ones to beat, but Max Verstappen could cause them problems in the Red Bull. You never know, Alex Albon could play a role as well. You're back to form in a 70th anniversary GP last weekend. The third place in the Constructors' Championship going into this race, Alex, Ferrari, and that really does flatter where the car is, but you never know. I mean, especially around the track where tyre saving can be key and overtaking is difficult, Charles Leclerc could pull off another worldy performance.
I think qualifying is going to be the key for Ferrari in Barcelona because, as you know, it's not really a circuit that's renowned for overtaking opportunities. You've got one chance at the end of the straight. So if Leclerc and Vettel, because I'm still not going to rally him off. I think he only needs one good race, and then that's his confidence back. But a decent qualifying performance could lead to a good race performance and a good start as well. If they can get themselves up there, then they've got a good chance of getting some decent points.
Yeah, you never know. Ferrari could manage to do it, particularly Leclerc. I mean, you never know. Vettel as well. He has won a few times around Spain. He's definitely in the shot, but not the victory, really. Not in that car. But he needs to get his confidence back, really. Like we keep saying, 13th in the Drivers' Championship. It's really not good for him. Now, a team that should be probably further up in the Constructors' standings, Owain, McLaren, and they have struggled a bit recently in the races particularly, but what could Spain offer them? I mean, they need to get the qualifying game together as well, obviously, because qualifying is so important around there.
I don't know. It's they looked sort of a bit racier earlier on in the year, but it doesn't look. In recent rounds, they haven't had that sort of. I don't know. They just don't look that potent for some reason. I don't know whether that's maybe the car's the development direction's a bit sort of it's not to their liking, or it's just the nature of the tracks we've been to. But I don't know what they can change in the time to make them significantly better at Spain. I mean, they know a lot about Spain. They'll have a very, very good understanding, obviously, with testing and
it's one of the more simple tracks sort of thing. It's not as demanding in various different ways. But I don't see them being able to do anything major that's actually going to convert their performance overnight.
Well, but better pit stops would help for a start. But yeah, I know what you mean in terms of the car performance itself. It's they should do well. They should do well there, but we'll have to see what happens. I mean, we thought they'd do well around Silverstone. They haven't really. 9th and 13th last time out, so not great on that regard. Now, a team that is in the news a lot for the wrong reasons recently, Racing Point, Louis. And one of the biggest questions, I guess, around the team is who's going to be driving for him. Lance Stroll obviously is going to be driving in one of the cars, but will it be Hülkenberg or will Perez be back? Because he was tested recently for COVID-19 and he's still got it. So what's the kind of protocol with that? It's kind of hard to say, really.
Well, it's the whole sort of 7 days thing at the moment, isn't it? So he's kind of waiting. I guess we won't know until he takes another COVID test on Thursday. But yeah, I have no idea. The fact that Perez is asymptomatic makes things a little bit more tricky because he's fit and he's not healthy, but he's active. He's not really sort of showing major symptoms which would severely hinder him, sort of just in his sort of day to day. So yeah, it just makes things a little bit more complex because we see pictures of Perez and he's just sort of getting about as normally as you can do while he's sort of isolating. But I guess we'll find out. I don't know whether when he'll fly out to Spain, given that he has still got a positive test. So whether or not he'll probably be tested maybe stay in Britain to be tested and then then fly out to Spain either the Thursday evening or Friday morning. It could be a tricky sort of situation. I think most likely Hülkenberg will still be racing, if you ask me.
It's hard to say. I mean, obviously he's not going to be able to travel if he's still got coronavirus. They're going to have to test him and then fly him out. But it's hard to say what's going to happen with that. I'd love to see Hülkenberg in the car again. I mean, I think he's great in Silverstone, and he's only going to get better and better as he gets more experience in the car. But obviously, we do wish Perez the best too. We want him to get COVID-free. But it's something that, despite what Racing Point are trying to do, it's something that you really can't play with. They were trying to rush him into the car for the last weekend's race, despite it being really touch and go in terms of the 7 days thing, whether it's 7 days or 10 days. So it's a tough one. But one thing is for sure, though, Alex, the car is still being protested. I mean, this has just happened literally now. They've received another reprimand for using those brake ducts in last weekend's race. But it's kind of begging the point, why are they reprimanding him all the time if they're not going to do anything extra?
It's a bit bizarre. It's like being tried for the same crime twice, isn't it? Which you can't do. I don't know where it's all going to lead to in terms of the inquiry into Racing Point and what they've done with the Mercedes technology. The only thing I will say is that I think of all the circuits we're going to so far, I think Barcelona is really going to play into Racing Point's hands. It's a very technical circuit. You need a car that's got good aerodynamics, great handling, and that's what the Racing Point's got. So I think, and if Hülkenberg is going to be in the team for next weekend, I think next weekend is probably his best chance of his first podium.
Yeah, he's got a very good chance if that's the case, definitely, yeah. I can't remember how Hülkenberg normally does at Spain, but I don't think he does particularly badly. So he's in with a shot, a real shot. Yeah, moving down the constructors order now. Renault next up, Owain. And again, they're okay at Silverstone this time, but double points, solid points. They couldn't repeat that from the week before that. But this track probably will play into the hands. The engine's not as important here as it is around some other circuits. So Ricciardo and Ocon could be in for some decent points this weekend.
Yeah, like you say, it's not a power circuit. It's not typically a high speed thing. It's more sort of, like you said, corners. So it helps to have a car that's not so reliant on the engine. So you see those teams that don't have maybe so much power coming back and being a bit closer. Obviously, there's a lot of data that the teams have. So I think they'll sort of end up in their constructors championship positions. They'll probably end up sort of 2 by 2. I don't know whether the sort of Ricciardo or Ocon particularly suit sort of the technical nature of the circuit. But I am looking forward to some sort of Danny Rick overtakes if he can manage them.
Yeah, and hopefully he'll keep the car pointing in the right direction this whole time. But qualifying is very important around Spain. We have said this many times, and Ricciardo obviously got fifth in qualifying last weekend. So if he does that again, he should be in for a shot of some very good points. And it is very tight in that so-called midfield battle as well in the constructors. It's just 19 points between Ferrari in third and Renault in sixth. So it's all to play for in there. A lot of money at stake for those teams. Next up, AlphaTauri, Louis, and solid again, solid as you'd expect in Silverstone, but not quite there in terms of race pace, especially for Pierre Gasly. Really struggled on the tyres. He's going to be hoping to keep him a lot better in Spain.
Yeah, it's been unfortunate for AlphaTauri. They have shown some great pace in the last couple of races, but of course we go to a track which is very different to Silverstone, and then have to sort of look back at the likes of Hungary, where it is a little bit more technical, to sort of get your best sort of judgment of where they're going to be. But yeah, I think they'll be hoping just to keep going from strength to strength, because they really are showing that they have some great pace. Pierre Gasly's been completely outdriving that car. Daniel Kvyat also has shown some great pace. He's just been fairly unfortunate with some of his results. So I wouldn't expect us to be completely blown away by AlphaTauri, but being at the bottom end of that points, if they're there, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, they've got a chance, especially to try a freaky strategy or something like that. You never know; it could work out for them. Now get to the guys that are really struggling at the bottom. Being with Alfa Romeo, Alex, and they've really been struggling in qualifying. They've been regularly back row of the grid, both Giovinazzi and Raikkonen 19th and 20th on the grid, and around a track where it's so hard to overtake, and the engine deficit they've got, it's looking like it could be a very tough weekend for them.
Yeah, they're not where they are at the moment, Alfa Romeo. Not where they want to be. And the Circuit de Catalunya is very much a car circuit. You often find that on the grid, it's 9 times out of 10 it's 2x2, which I predict is probably going to be what's happening come Saturday. I'd be very surprised if the situation is otherwise. So I can't really see Alfa Romeo progressing much further than the back row of the grid, unless we end up having a crazy race which is full of attrition. Then their points tally is not going to increase dramatically anytime soon. I'm sorry to say, because Kimi Raikkonen we all know that he's a great driver. He's a fantastic ambassador for Formula One. Sadly, it's looking like that his career is very much winding down. Antonio Giovinazzi, I mean. I personally think he's talented. He's doing what he can at the moment in that car, and he's he got beat by Kimi in the 70th Anniversary Grand Prix, but he's outqualified him a few times. So they're really struggling at the moment.
Yep, they're really struggling. Giovinazzi usually outqualifies Raikkonen, but Raikkonen does him in the race where it really counts. But still, Raikkonen no points this season. He's one of only 4 drivers, I believe, who has not scored any points. So I would not blame him at all for leaving the sport after this year if that's his prospects of driving that thing round. Next up, we have Howson, and another team that's struggling, another Ferrari-powered car that's really struggling. I mean, despite Magnussen and Grosjean's, let's put it as a vociferous kind of passionate defending. They can't keep the cars behind, and like Alfa Romeo, they're probably in for a very long weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of work. I imagine they'll be sort of doing as much weaving, a lot of weaving to try and keep people behind. It's not going to be a good weekend, is it? I'd like to be wrong, but it's probably not going to be. It's not going to be great. It's not much they can do. It's not a particularly fast car. It doesn't qualify amazingly well, and it doesn't race any better and it races worse than that. I don't think Grosjean. I think Grosjean and Magnussen are doing their best, but it's not making too much of a difference. They just can't. They can't get that car at the grid. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it in the sort of later. In the back 3 rows of the grid.
Yeah, I think they'll be back there, and probably joined by the Williams cars as well, Louis. But that being said, Williams do qualify their car much better than they race, and they do have the Mercedes engine in the back, and it is hard to pass around Spain. So we could see Russell and Latifi being better, but them getting points is a big ask still.
Yeah, it is going to be a big ask, and it's a shame that we see so much promise in this Williams. It's no secret at this point that they have decent raw pace in that car. Both Russell and Latifi have been in Q2 this year. And George has had 4 in the last 5 Q2 appearances, which is incredible considering where they were last year. But just converting into race pace, the starts seem to be pretty poor. They seem to just get completely swallowed up at the start and then just drop back. But as it is more difficult to overtake, they may, want to park the car in the middle of the track a bit more and maybe, secure better places. But I think it's quite unrealistic, and I think they're probably going to be at the back again, which is a shame because we're so encouraged by the quali pace that we want them to do well in the race. But yeah, they need a lot of fixing of that car to be able to achieve both.
Yeah, and it's a very long run down to turn 1 as well. I think it's the longest run on the calendar down to turn 1. So if they're going to get swallowed up and go further down the grid, it's probably going to be there. You never know. Russell, I mean, he's proved more than capable this season, as is Latifi. So they could threaten some of the guys further up. They could threaten the AlphaTauris, but there's still a bit of a performance gap there. It's hard to see.
I think credit where it's due though for Williams. I saw a stat over the Silverstone races where because they qualified 19th and 20th in 2019, and they were 1.7 seconds behind 18th. So for them to get into Q2, that's a massive step forward.
Oh yeah.
So it's like I suppose it is a shame that they don't convert their race pace, but I think in terms of what they've done just in the last year, I mean that is brilliant. So the signs are there that they are slowly coming out of the abyss that they're in, but yeah, we certainly can't expect miracles from them. But full credit to them for what they've done so far with the results that they've got.
Yeah, it's a massive upturn in performance. I mean, I think before Russell made Q2 in Austria or Styria, they hadn't made Q2 since Italy 2018, so it'd been over a year. But now Russell's regularly making Q2, so it's a massive upturn in performance from him and the car. And obviously, yeah, Latifi's proven himself to be impressive as well. He's got a contract for next year already, so fair play to the guy. Yeah, that's all 10 teams, all 20 drivers previewed for this race. We're going to go with our predictions now. Because it's hot, I'm still gonna go for Hamilton for the win, unsurprisingly, but I will give Max Verstappen second place with Bottas in third. Owain?
I will go with I think Verstappen for the win, definitely, and then Hamilton second, assuming it's hot. And then based on his performances and recently, Charles Leclerc for third.
I think I know what your bold prediction is going to be.
Oh, it's going to be mine. I was thinking, I'm going to be super edgy by putting Charles Leclerc in third.
Put Hulkenberg in third. He might not even race.
He might even No, my prediction is going to be exactly the same as Owain.
Fair enough. Alex?
Could go 2 ways this, because Barcelona in the past, it's given us some of the sport's most iconic moments. That you've seen. Remember Manton standing down the straight. It's given us some of the poorest races ever. I mean, last season wasn't exactly great, was it? So, I think I'm going to go with the heat angle as well, like Owain and Louis have done. I think if that's the case, I think Verstappen could be buoyant from his performance last weekend. 2 wins in a row. I'd like to see someone like Leclerc or Hulkenberg on the podium, but I think if Verstappen wins, it will be the 2 Mercedes behind him. And I'm going to think, I'm probably going to go Bottas second and Hamilton third this time.
Just to spice the championship up a little bit more.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Yeah, it could happen. You never know. I've got a really good feeling about Verstappen. I really do. But I also think because Mercedes lost the last race, they're going to be extra careful with this. And it is hard to pass in Spain. So we'll see. It's definitely possible, though. And be sure to let us know what your predictions are as well. Tweet us at F1 Chronicle on Twitter. But yeah, now the bold prediction time. I was wanting to put Hulkenberg for the podium, but I don't want to contradict my own top 3. So I'm going to go... Dev's going to like this one. I'm going to go Kimi Räikkönen for the points. Something mad might happen. Some safety car who might do a mega long stint or something like that. The Iceman turning it on in the heat. Owain, what's your bold prediction?
Oh, God. Vettel to get into the points?
No.
Bold prediction. So good.
There's
My
bold
prediction was Vettel to do well for the 70th Anniversary Grand Prix, and that didn't go down well, did it?
Yeah, you said he'd be back on form or something, but I think he meant by spinning him.
Yeah, he's back on that kind of form.
Yeah.
Louis, what's your bold prediction?
I'm going to go with Nicholas Latifi to out-qualify George Russell.
Oh, you know something? I didn't realise this. I know he did it last year, but he's never been out-qualified by a teammate in F1, Russell. Out-qualified.
26-0.
It's incredible, that, isn't it? Let's
That'd
see.
be a major accolade for Latifi if he does.
Yeah, the first ever. Alex?
I always contradict my top three whenever we do these. So
Edging your bets.
my bold prediction will be Nick Hulkenberg for his first podium if he races, which I'm 99% sure he will do.
I'm fairly sure he will. He should race. He should. The responsible thing is for him to race.
I can't see how Perez will be allowed to come back to Barcelona. I can't see it.
I think it would be too much of a mad panic.
There's 2 weeks between Barcelona and I think it's Spa, isn't it? Afterwards, so
Yeah.
they'd be better just keeping it, being responsible and letting him come back for them.
Yeah, they were really desperate to get him in the car, though. It was weird. It's like, this is really irresponsible. I don't think Racing Point exactly. I mean, they've really not endeared themselves this season to a lot of fans, but doing things like that as well isn't really helping either. It's dangerous attitude to have. We'll have to see what happens. I'm not sure what the protocol. Again, if you guys know the protocol, let us know. Tweet us and let us know what should happen. But surely, if he's tested positive on Thursday, so that means a week from now, Thursday again, and really should be flying out by then. It's just too rushed, isn't it?
Yeah, I think forget Barcelona and come back for Spa 2 weeks later.
That'd be the sensible thing to do, but we all know that Perez will want to get back in that car, and obviously Lawrence Stroll will want to get Perez back in that car as well. But we'll see what happens. Maybe sense will prevail, but then again, this is Formula One, so we'll see what happens with that. All right, so thank you very much for joining us, lads. I really do appreciate it.
No worries.
You're welcome.
No worries.
We have an official store for merchandise. If you guys want to support the show, just go to the F1 Chronicles website to get custom mugs, t-shirts, and more on there. We broadcast this show live as well, live on Facebook. So be sure to like our Facebook page, F1 Chronicle on Facebook. You get to see the show early. This normally gets edited and put out on Wednesday, but we record it on the Sunday, so you get to see it 3 days early and see what we get wrong already by that point. We are also available on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Music, Omni Studio, and Pocket Cast. Just search for the F1 Grid Talk and all of those. We have a big back catalogue of shows as well. We've almost up to 50 episodes now. It's not just race previews and reviews as well. It's also documentary-style pieces like we did on Tiegate and for Ayrton Senna. And we will be back on Saturday to analyse qualifying for the Spanish Grand Prix. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.